Hi guys. A couple of things I want to get out the way first. One, I'm ill. Sorry about my voice. Two, I understand this is a very sensitive topic because when you talk about someone's dog, you're talking about their family member. And people often love their dogs as much as they love their human family members. And I think it's important to remember that. It's also important to remember, I think, that goes both ways. So when you're talking about, the safety of someone's pet or family member, it's important to consider that as well. And another thing is I like these dogs. I like most dogs. I've never really encountered pit bulls that much until recently, but in England we have staffies, and for years me and my girlfriend wanted to get a staffy, and we like them. We were wary of them. We understood they can be quite dangerous dogs, but we also always liked them, and I still do. I think they're sweet dogs, and there's something quite cute about an animal that is capable of inflicting a lot of damage, but that doesn't really behave like it. I think they're cute often for the same reason that like baby crocodiles are cute or something. Because they're kind of like little monsters, and they don't really know it, and they act like babies, but it's going to be a croc one day. And of course, when crocodiles grow up, they're no longer cute. But pit bulls, staffies, these kind of dogs, they often are. They're often very sweet. I've also come to accept that, in particular, pit bulls should be banned. It's a bit difficult to draw a clear distinction between pit bulls and staffies. It's also quite difficult to define exactly what a pit bull is, and lots of people have different interpretations of this, and some people would say it's not a breed, some people say it is a breed, and it's defined in different ways in different places, which can muddy the waters a bit when looking at the statistics. What is clear is that staffies are much smaller than your standard American pit bull. Weirdly, the day before the ban, or 2 days before the ban, I think, on Bully XLs in the UK, myself, my girlfriend, and my dog were accosted by one here in Spain. And here there's much looser dog laws. You can have any dog here, literally, which is, I don't know, a bit insane to me, but you can have any dog. You're supposed to muzzle them, you're supposed to have them on a lead, but I think you're supposed to have dogs on a lead pretty much everywhere, but no one really follows that law. And this dog was not on its lead, and it was very aggressive, and it was a horrible incident, actually, because I'd never seen it up close. I'd never seen a dog like this before. Before I continue with this story, though, I just wanted to say one thing I forgot to say at the beginning is, whilst I do feel that pit bull type breeds should be banned, I don't think that's a straightforward issue. I don't think it's an open and shut case. I don't think it's an easy thing, and that's what I want to get into, but I will anyway. This dog was off its lead. There was no one around. There was no owner around. We were actually going that way because we had seen a dog with its owner, some other kind of pit bull, basically a smaller one, it had very aggressive body language towards Luna, our dog, and she's had a few little scraps with dogs before, so we're quite anxious around any dog that could kill her, or any dog that she could kill, really. So both extreme ends of the spectrum, although she's nice with smaller dogs, but we're just we're sensible, and we're sort of cautious to avoid. We know that they are animals, they're not humans. Well, not that humans are inherently reasonable anyway, but dogs are harder to predict, basically, and you can't talk to them in ways that they fully understand. So we saw this dog. It had quite aggressive body language, and there's a lot of shitheads around this area where we were, which is a shame. It's a really nice, beautiful place, stunning location. We used to love going there, but we're not going to go there anymore. So we saw this guy with this like pit bull, so we left, and there was no clear way to go, and they were coming closer and closer, and we thought, oh, let's just get down off this wall. And we've begun, because there's a real problem with these dogs in this area, and there's a lot of them, and they never have leads, they never have muzzles, and the owners are really thick, like all the time. They're just completely inept, completely clueless. They never have any control over the dogs. You get either people who just beat the shit out of their dogs, or people who, while their dog is terrorizing people, they stand there going, come on, come on, saying its name, just like saying its name. And when they're barking aggressively and you're saying its name in the exact same tone, they just think you're joining in with the barking. They don't understand, no one here knows how to train their dogs. We've had I've seen crazy stuff since living here with dogs. It's a really, 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 there's a really bad dog culture here. So we left, and arguably an overreaction, but we just don't like being around those types of dogs because you can't trust the owners, and because the dogs are often allowed to do whatever they want. So we had to climb off this wall, and we climbed off this wall. It was like, I climbed down anyway first and went to get Luna down, and it was like probably about 5 foot, and so Luna couldn't just jump off it, so I was trying to like pick her up off the wall, and she doesn't like being picked up at all. And I couldn't get a good angle on her, and we were starting to panic a little bit because like it was dark, we couldn't see where we were going, and my girlfriend had slipped, and I was like, you go the other way, I'll get Luna down here, and it was all just becoming a bit like panicked, and that's bad. Of course you shouldn't panic in these situations, it doesn't help at all. And I was trying to get Luna and I couldn't. Eventually I got her down, and she immediately jumped out of my arms because she, as I said, hates being like picked up. She jumped out of my arms and landed really badly, and I'm like, oh fuck, she landed terribly. And then I hear my girlfriend go, look out, and I look up and I see probably the scariest dog I've ever been up close with. Its neck was like this thick, like it was huge. No lead, no owners nearby. This was a different dog. The other dog was this way, and this dog was in front of us, and it's growling. And I'm like, oh dear, can't go back up the wall. It just seemed it's going to create a scene in front of this dog, me trying to get Luna up there, and it's just, but the other dog's up there. There wasn't really anywhere, and I'm thinking it's quite likely about to kick off. This dog is already growling, and I'm not sure how this situation can be diffused. So I saw at 15 meters ahead, a bit more probably, there's a row of houses, and I thought best thing to do is to go towards the houses, which meant going past the dog towards the houses. But I wasn't really thinking, but I thought maybe I'll get her inside one of the houses somehow. I'll ring someone's bell, I'll put her in their front porch, or I'll put her in like a sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, that's Tara coming in and greeting the dog. I thought I'll put her in like a shed or something, I don't know. And because I just thought the worst thing that can happen is you're in this situation, it kicks off, you can't stop the dog, and there's just nothing and no one, and you're just in this space where this is it, So I thought it's better to be close to civilization or something resembling it. So I start going that way towards the houses, and then 3 more dogs come out of one of these houses where the door's just open, and these dogs and this is clearly where this dog has come from because the door's just left open. These 3 other dogs come out and start barking ferociously as soon as they see us. And I'm like, oh God. Then it becomes clear that this dog that we're next to, this terrifying dog, belongs to the same house, and it's part of their pack. I think the first dog was theirs as well. So I think they had like a pit bull, something that looked like a kind of bully XL type thing, or a pit bull or whatever, I don't know. And then a Belgian shepherd, and then 2 just kind of normal dogs. Allowed to just roam free around this area like they own it, this wasn't a park, this is like a public space, streets and stuff, and yeah. And so I'm like, oh fuck, can't go that way, because if I keep going towards them with her, it's going to be interpreted as an affront, and this dog's now barking, the scary one is now barking, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do. And so I took her. It's all a bit blurry, to be honest. I went around again back to where we were, and there was like a set of steps that leads back up to where we were before. And I got up there, and Tara was up there, and I got Luna up there. I don't remember if I picked her up or I pulled her by a harness or something. I don't remember, but we got her up there. And then I looked up ahead. We had this big stretch in front of us, and I thought, well, we're not going to run. And then this dog was coming, and I'm like, the dog's coming, like, running would be a bad idea. I'm not going to be confrontational towards this dog, just innately. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if I felt too afraid to do that, or if I innately felt it was a bad idea. In hindsight, I do believe it would have been a bad idea, but I don't know if that's why I didn't do it. It makes me a bit uncomfortable because I was afraid, to be honest, of this dog. Not just for Luna's safety, but for like mine. Tara wasn't really involved. It's not that I didn't care about her safety. She was kind of like away. And then so the dog comes up the stairs and it walks over to Luna. There's this moment just watching, like as they kind of get closer and closer, and they're just kind of sussing each other out. And I'm thinking, I don't know what to do here, really. I was kind of frozen, in all honesty. And I felt averse to just standing in between them. And again, as I said, I don't know if that was because it felt like an affront to this dog, and also I would have had to almost like sort of push its nose out the way to get in between them, and then stand there with my bollocks right in front of its face, and just like, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't. And I watched them for a second, and I was like, just basically thinking, have to hope for the best, really. Have to pray that this goes okay. Because if it doesn't, there's this dog, there's the other first dog, there's 3 other dogs over there. And I don't remember the exact order of events, but during this, we're like screaming for the owners, and like we're screaming in English instinctively. We're like, get your fucking dog on a lead. And then we realised, and I started shouting it in Spanish, and they didn't give a fuck. There was this old lady down further away, and like, she wouldn't even address us. She wouldn't even respond to us. She was talking to the guy that had the pit bull initially, and telling him to call the other dog. And just like, they're just so casual. These people, I guess they've decided, no, I'm not worried, so I'm not going to worry on your behalf, and I don't care that you're worried, and I don't care that my dog has the capability to inflict a huge amount of harm on other people or dogs. I don't care because I'm not worried. So I'm just going to plod along in barefoot, stroll around with a fucking cigarette and wait and see what happens, because I'm not worried about you, basically. It's incredibly obnoxious. It truly is incredibly obnoxious. For example, with Luna, like, some people are afraid of her around their dogs. I don't personally have to agree with that to be respectful of it. It's just basic decency, like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, then Tara was like, they can't be together, and it was, I don't know, it felt like, it was like sort of time stopped, I was just looking at them like, oh God, what's going to happen? And looking around, and I saw a big rock like this big, and I thought, like, I'm going to try my best, basically, but like, they've got pretty thick skulls, these dogs. And then it seemed okay, like they sort of just were looking at each other the way, because even when a dog is aggressive and confrontational, 9 times out of 10 or more, it doesn't escalate. There's a strong possibility that it could, or there's a possibility that it could, but most of the time it doesn't. Dogs like that have all sorts of aggressive interactions with other dogs. It's not the norm that it turns into a fight. So they kind of were just looking at each other, and then Tara was like, we have to go, and I was like, yeah, and I picked up Luna and carried her, and we just walked off. And then by that point, I think they'd kind of called it, and it went off. I don't know. I felt bad that I didn't know how to react. I felt bad that I was so afraid. I felt bad that I didn't feel I could like protect her, and I have more knowledge now. I've done a lot of research on how to deal with these dogs, but I didn't at that time know what to do in that situation. People tell you very different things, and I've seen videos of people trying to pry open the jaws of dogs when their jaws lock, and it's a bit of a myth, the lockjaw thing, but when they clamp down and won't let go, and it's incredibly difficult. So we left, and we were really angry, and I wanted to go back and say something, but in hindsight, it's probably good that I didn't. I was going to go back and confront the owners now that we'd gotten Luna away, and Tara said that dog could kill you, and I thought, like, yeah, I feel all right, I don't know. And I was going, and then I decided, no, all right, we'll leave. And then a couple of days later, that guy got killed in the UK by 2 of these dogs that looked pretty similar to this one. And I don't know if you saw the video. I don't recommend looking at it. It's really horrible. The people, what is the most disturbing thing about the video is how inept the people around him are. I wouldn't have known what to do in that situation. I would have known not to just walk back and forth with a wheelie bin like a character from The Sims while someone is being mauled to death and bleeding to death in front of me. It's really something, to be honest, the way those people reacted. I know a couple of them were old, but old people are supposed to have a strong sense of sort of civic duty, and I understand you can't judge how someone else reacts fully because you don't really know until you're in that situation, and it would be very scary because if you do something, those dogs might turn on you. So let's say you choke one of them, it could easily turn around, and once it regains its breath, and just start killing you, and then you're fucked because there's no one to help you apart from the guy who's bleeding on the floor. So it's very difficult, but I think hiding behind inaction, hiding behind, I'm doing something, I'm walking backwards and forwards with a wheelie bin in my hands, I'm scared, I'm holding a brick but I'm not hitting the dog, that's cowardly. That's just cowardly. It's inexcusably cowardly in my opinion. It would have been better to leave the area and try to find someone or something. If that's all you're going to do, standing there, that was a lack of civic duty in my book. I'm not saying civic duty means you have to fight a dog with your bare hands, but civic duty means you shouldn't stand there deliberately doing nothing while someone is dying because you're too afraid, and I don't know. I understand it was a very difficult situation to be put in, and no one should be put in that situation in the first place, but yeah, sad to think that you'd see your family members' last moments like that and know that their death could have been avoided, because these dogs are very dangerous, but it's hard to kill a grown man, like he didn't need to die. He bled to death because the dogs were allowed to do what they were doing for so long. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So yeah, a couple of days later that happened, and it was weird. And I immediately, predictably, jumped on the bandwagon. They should be banned. And my initial feeling was they should be banned because they're so strong and powerful and you can't control them, and even if the dog is nice, it doesn't matter. And I naively felt I, as a grown man, can fight a German Shepherd. I can fight a Husky. I can fight these other breeds, and it would be bad, but I would win. And that's why they're better. It's not because of their temperament. And that is why these dogs don't kill as many people, which is very stupid in hindsight. It's why I recorded a video on this, and then I sort of scrutinised my own claims further, and I looked into it, and I found that actually they're not necessarily the strongest dogs. It's much more to do with temperament and mentality around violence, which dispels the "there are no bad dogs, only bad owners" thing. That is a myth. There might be, you could say there are no bad dogs, only irresponsible ownership models, perhaps, but it's not right to say that the dog is a direct reflection of its owner, because it's not. So I looked into the statistics, and I've got some. So you can see here in this chart, fatal dog attacks by breed, 2005 to 2017, compared to the second highest dog, Rottweilers with 10.4. It's almost 6.5 times more. For pit bulls, they've killed almost 6.5 times more in that period than the second most dangerous dog, which is Rottweilers, who I perhaps hypocritically happen to love. These statistics, they're not proportionate. They don't take into account the number of dogs that exist. There are a lot more pit bulls than there are Rottweilers. The estimates I've found suggest there's 1.5 to 2 million Rottweilers in the US and 4.5 to 6 million pit bulls. So there's about 3 times more pit bulls. So when you take that into account, they are 3 times as dangerous, approximately 3 times as dangerous as Rottweilers, which is it's dwarfed by the initial figure, but 3 times more dangerous than the second most dangerous dog, right? 3 times more dangerous than the second most dangerous dog. That is a huge difference. It truly is a huge difference. And there's more data that's not shown here. So the data I've just given, the 1.5 to 2 million Rottweilers, 4.5 to 6 million pit bulls, is not reflected in these results, because it's present day data. Rottweilers are, in relative terms, they're not as popular compared to pit bulls as they used to be. Pit bulls have increased in popularity, and there are more and more of them. Most of them, or at least around half or a bit under, are up for adoption or in shelters, which is a big problem. There are issues with the kind of typical mode of ownership of these dogs. So last year, for example, 41 people were killed by pit bulls. 4 were killed by Rottweilers. The year before that, I think it was 45 were killed by pit bulls, and again 4 by Rottweilers. So in both years, it's more than 10 times the amount. So even when you factor in, so if you say 6 million and 2 million, so 6 million divided by 45. No. Let me take a moment before I humiliate myself. 45 divided by 6, and 4 divided by 2. So 7.5 compared to 2 is the ratio we have here. Look, I'm not a statistician or whatever you call it, nor a mathematician, nor all that smart. But basically it's 3 times it plus 1.5 times more. Almost 4 times as much, basically, according to the last few years. It's clear from that this is not just an issue of bad owners. It couldn't really be. You could say there's a different kind of culture around owning pit bulls. That culture used to exist with other dogs, dogs like Rottweilers and German Shepherds and bulldogs and things like that. There is a cultural issue around the ownership of them, but that's not going to account for them being, what were we, 3.5 times more likely, more dangerous. I don't know, whatever the figure was that I just gave you. Hang on, I'm going to stop and start this video because it starts lagging if I do it for too long. Yeah, so you can't explain all that away with just saying they tend to have bad owners. It's not enough. But there's another problem on the other side of the argument with that, in my view, which is, can you, just because they are more dangerous than other breeds, why does that mean we just ban those? Because if we're saying, okay, they're killing people, we have to ban them. Well, Rottweilers are killing people as well, with some degree of regularity. If pit bulls had never existed and we just had Rottweilers at the top killing 4 people a year for multiple years in a row, although I think 3 years ago they didn't kill anybody, but let's just say anyway, 4 people a year on average or something, maybe we'd be having the same arguments about them, because it's kind of relative, a lot of this data is comparative. So I think it's important to consider that there's maybe some degree of hypocrisy. I've had to look at that in myself, because in my mind, my feeling, my emotion is I just want them banned. I don't want to be around them. I don't want my dog to be around them, and they're too dangerous. But that's not really a solid principle. That's not like firm. That's like, they're more dangerous than other dogs. Okay, what about the other dogs? Like, how far do you take it? German Shepherds kill people quite regularly as well. Labradors bite people. Labradors are quite overrepresented in killing infants, weirdly. Quite a few incidents of Labradors killing very young children. A Pomeranian even killed a child, which is more of just a novelty. I'm not really suggesting that that's something that's even worthy of consideration here, but it is worthy of consideration that other big dogs, even ones typically perceived to be very friendly, can kill people and have killed people. To people who don't like dogs full stop, they would say there should be no dogs that kill people. They might make an exception for something like a Pomeranian and say that's such an unusual case that we don't really have to think about it. But a lot of people who don't like dogs would just say, don't have any dog that can kill me around. I don't care if you think Labradors are friendly. I don't care if Huskies are beautiful or whatever. I don't care that this dog is nice in your opinion. I don't want any animal running around in the park that can kill me. Yeah, they might have a valid argument. I think we have to accept that. I think we have to accept that those of us who do want pit bulls banned, I think we have to accept that those people probably have a valid argument. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying it's 100% valid. I'm not saying that we should ban these other dogs. I'm just saying that we can't outright dismiss that. We can't go, 40 is more than 4, so no. That isn't really anything. That's not logic. That's not sensible. It's just saying this is past our threshold. For now, I would say it's the logical first step, and I feel it is, but it's difficult. There are not many concrete arguments you can make. I don't think, and I know that in your own life, you don't have to make concrete arguments for things. You can go, no, fuck that. They're terrifying. I don't want them around, whatever, in your personal life. But when we're talking about like societal issues, I don't feel comfortable having an opinion on something that isn't based on a fairly firm principle, a fairly even-handed and firm principle of rights. I don't typically agree that just because something is dangerous, we should ban it. I personally support gun ownership. I understand that guns kill a huge amount of people. I feel there is a a principle to it that I believe in, and I feel that if the government are armed, that citizens should have a right to be armed as well. I feel to me it's like that goes above and beyond the results. It's something that is hang on, sorry, I have to ask my girlfriend. Sorry. So I don't think that it like drugs as well, right? Different to guns, because drugs typically they kill the person. Well, exclusively they kill the person who takes them. You could argue that people are given them, or people are whatever. People are impressionable, but yeah, I mean, by and large, they kill whoever takes them. So you have the choice. So I don't feel that just because a drug is dangerous, it necessarily should be banned just because they say, oh, in this year this drug has killed X amount of people, done. Because, as I said, where do you draw that line? Oh, this new research chemical has come out, millions of people are taking it and it's fine, but 2 people in very high profile cases have died. We have to ban it. That happens quite a lot as an emotional response to something. People don't stop and go, well, actually alcohol kills way more than that every year, and it kills people who are not even involved in taking it indirectly, because drunk drivers and stuff, and violence. I mean, Jesus, no one gets into a fight when they're sober. But no one really considers banning alcohol. I've never heard anybody talk about that really. So crazy that they did for a while though. Mad in the States. I must look into that more. It's bizarre really when you think about it, that alcohol was banned. Yeah. So I say it's a cool mug. It's Mario Brothers Free, the best Mario game in my opinion. They were selling these really cheap down the road. They had a really nice. It used to be that merch like this was like really expensive, and I guess at a certain point, it became a thing to sell the IPs to stuff like this, to like Primark, to put on t-shirts, and to like random crappy chain stores to make like good quality. Like it used to be, if you bought something like this, it was like a Nintendo product, and it was like really expensive, Now they're like £3 or £4. Anyway, so I'm a bit uncomfortable with it from that point of view, but the conclusion I've come to with drugs, take that example, and this is a lot less firm than I'd like it to be. It's a lot less of a concrete, solid, logical sort of argument than I'd like it to be. It's I guess a sort of a compromise, or I don't know, the lesser of two evils perhaps. Because on the one hand, you just go, yeah, you can just sell fentanyl in shops and let anyone buy it and whatever, and people are just fucking collapsing in the street and everything, and meth can just be a normal thing, and let companies on TV advertise it and push it and say it's normal and it will help you with your job, and people will be taking meth and like fucking strangling babies and shit, and we'll just accept that. Or you go, no, if a drug can cause any harm, we just fucking ban it. We have to sit somewhere in the middle. We have to kind of make some vague compromise. To me, I feel the more drugs you have in each category that are relatively safe compared to other similar drugs that reach a similar demographic and that fulfill a similar purpose, the better. Like give a wide enough variety of options where people can't reasonably say that they're being restricted, that they're not having the right to do this or that. With food, for example, there are some things you can't sell as food. There's some food products or potential food ingredients that are banned. We're not sitting here going, our rights are being infringed upon. We're not allowed to experiment with food. There's enough food available to buy in the shops. We have enough freedom to buy food that we're not really worried about that. it's not really a problem. Like, you know, we have food. No one's sat here going, oh, I wish I could have this or that, but the government won't allow it. You know, I feel that would be the ideal situation with drugs, where weed is legal, certain types of pills are legal, and I'm not saying it's good that people take these things, but like, you know, some psychedelics are legal. Maybe there's specific rules and regulations surrounding their usage because they are particularly they're serious drugs in many ways, you know, and there's a lot of stipulations that come with it, but basically, by and large, like, there isn't a need for the black market. There isn't a hole that needs to be filled, because if you just said, oh, just weed is legal but everything else, well, then there's going to be a black market for stimulants, there's going to be a black market for opiates, there's going to be whatever, you know. So if you create enough options, and I'm not even saying necessarily these should be like opiates, but if you create enough options in the legal drug market, then I'd think the black market would really struggle, apart from competing on prices and stuff, maybe. But yeah. So perhaps you could make a similar argument with guns. I haven't really thought about that, and I understand why people are wary of that. And when there's so much subversion of like democratic values in a place like America, for example, and so many sort of power games behind the scenes, and so much, you know, you're in the palm of our hand and you don't even know who we are type shit going on there. I understand why people think if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and they don't want to give away any guns. I also understand why people think it's a bit fucking insane that people walk around with like assault rifles and stuff. It's very difficult. America is a horrible example of it, because there are so many other countries where you can have whatever guns you want. You can walk around in the street with guns, you can walk around with knives, you can walk around with a fucking sword if you want in some places. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. Most people just think you're a bit weird for doing it, but it's not an issue, you know? So it's a special case in some ways. And perhaps pit bulls are kind of a special case. So yeah, some might argue you don't have the right because I'm drinking from this Mario mug, it's turning me into him. You don't have the right to so I've switched now. I'm now drinking from this Frosties mug. Yeah, you don't have the right to have a guard dog, have a dog that everyone's afraid of, have a dog that can kill people if they enter your home. And, you know, why should you have the right to do that? Because it's different to a gun, isn't it? Because a gun, you have to like aim it and point it. A dog is just like, it's an animal. They could argue that. Some people would say, no, it's good. Families have guard dogs. There's a lot of crime in some countries, and you have a right to have that, and it can protect you from other animals if you live in rural areas, etc., etc. Protects livestock, of course, which is often what dogs like Rottweilers are for. So, for now, I would say, well, if you're in the camp that you should be allowed to have a guard dog, there are much more reliable ones with much better temperaments who are just as capable of protecting you as a pit bull, but much, much less likely to just snap and go crazy. They possess two dangerous qualities in that regard. One is the fact that they seemingly just snap for no reason. Two is that if they do snap, they're incredibly strong. Because Cocker Spaniels, for example, maybe it's Springer Spaniels, they snap more than like any other dog pretty much, but it doesn't really matter. You know, they're going to bite you and then you just move on with your life, basically. They're just fucking annoying. Honestly, I like pit bulls more than I like them as dogs, but a pit bull can kill me, and it can kill my dog, and it can kill my family members. And, you know, I've read stories of people, they're out at the park with their kid, and and one of these dogs just comes along and grabs their. One guy said his kid was taking its first steps in the park, and it was holding his finger. It's fucking sad, man. It was holding his finger, and a dog came along, and it was a staffy actually in this incident. Came up from behind, no warning, grabbed the kid, ran off with it in its mouth, and eventually they stopped it. I got the impression from reading it this wasn't the toughest guy, to be honest. And the kid had like a broken pelvis and shit, and like, so, you know, on his first walk in the park, like, and there's some person that he's only playing and stuff, and like letting him run around the dog, you know, and it's just, it's terrible really that people's kids have to be around that. But here comes the difficult part for me, the sort of hypocrisy of it. Because I got really into researching all this stuff about dogs recently, and which dogs are the strongest, which dogs are the most aggressive, blah, 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 blah. I've always liked German Shepherds, and I always thought I might get one. And I've grown also to really like Rottweilers over the last few days. I've been looking at a lot of Rottweiler stuff. I never really noticed them before. But they're incredible. Like, I've been looking at so many videos of them and stuff, and they're just so beautiful and so strong, and they're just really cool. And I want one in the future. But, well then, why should other people who don't like them have to tolerate that, have to tolerate me having one? I feel it's terrible that people have to worry when they're walking through the park with their kid that some dog is going to come and attack them and whatever, or kill their dog. They've got like a little dog, you know, a Bichon or something, and they have to worry about it just being randomly just ripped to pieces in front of them. It's not right. I feel because they are so substantially less dangerous and less overrepresented in these statistics that it's okay. But I'm drawing a line there where I'm comfortable. And that's what all of us are doing, really, because nobody really is suggesting banning Labradors. Labradors can kill smaller dogs, and they do. And they can kill children, and they do. So we're all drawing a line somewhere that we feel comfortable. And if the pit bull lobby and pit bull owners made this argument, I'd be more inclined to listen to it. The problem is they make a lot of very bad arguments. There's the sort of nanny dog propaganda, which is just deeply wrong. You should not put your baby next to a dog's face. Sorry, that's just crazy and wrong. At the very least, you should not encourage other people to do the same. It's wrong. If you do that in your personal life, fine. I don't know, but it's terrible to normalise that. It's terrible to encourage other people to do that and to act like that's normal. It's not. The other argument, I've covered this earlier, there's no bad dogs, only bad owners. Well, first of all, most owners are bad. Like, most dog owners are quite bad with their dogs. Most dog owners don't know how to train a dog. They go from either beating the shit out of it to doing nothing and hoping that the dog behaves itself because it wants to. Most people don't. Most people, if they call, their dog doesn't come. Like, you know, they just they don't have a stop command. They don't, you know, they have no control over their dogs. The other thing is, I've had them all my life. They're lovely dogs. I have one. He's really nice. This kind of argument comes up a lot. Like, oh, I've never worn a seatbelt and I'm alive. No one is saying that if you don't wear a seatbelt, you die every time you go in a car. Obviously, the point is that if you spend your life not wearing a seatbelt, your chances of dying in a car accident are greatly increased. No one is saying that your pit bull is going to kill a person. There are, you know, if we say there's approximately 6 million of them in a year, well, if all of them killed a person, 6 million people, you know, it would be quite a big event. So we're not saying that all of them kill people. We're not even saying that all of them kill dogs. It's a really stupid argument. Just because it's gone okay for you, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I've taken meth my whole life and I've never had a problem, so everyone else should do it. It's really dumb. It comes up a lot with circumcision as well. I was circumcised, I'm fine. It's like, yeah, you're not dead, are you? Like, imagine you drank a bunch of toxic chemicals right now. You might not die. It would do crazy shit to your fucking internal organs. You might not be able to perceive that, but this basically, like, the world is still spinning and I'm not dead yet, so everything is fine argument is really dumb, and it comes up all the time, and it's selfish, actually. It's like, I'm refusing to take myself out of my own idea of my life with my dog, whom I love. I'm refusing to step outside of that and empathise with other people and consider, A, that I might be wrong, and B, that that's not the full story. My relationship with my little dog, well, not a little dog, my terrifying dog, is not the full story of what's going on here, and it's arrogant to suggest that it is. It's really annoying, and people should stop fucking saying that. The other thing, when comparing them to other dogs, Rottweilers, for example, a huge number of the attacks done by Rottweilers have been committed by specific bloodlines. There are some bloodlines of Rottweilers that have never hurt a person. Also, the Rottweilers that have attacked people have, in almost all cases, tended to show aggression previously. They were usually provoked, and they were usually in their own home or in some kind of defensive situation. Pit bulls are hugely overrepresented in terms of home invasion attacks. They will go into someone's garden. They have gone through people's doors before. 3 of them broke into a family's back door and mauled a little girl. I don't remember if they killed her, but they just went in there. They just went into her home. So they're massively overrepresented and stuff like that. They'll show no aggression for their entire lives, be friendly dogs, snap, kill someone, kill a dog, kill a cat. Of course, any dog can snap suddenly, but it's a lot less likely. Some other statistics. This is from like animals247.com or something. 81% of dogs who killed other animals were pit bulls. I believe this is based on insurance claims. So, of dogs who killed other dogs, 90% were pit bulls. Of dogs who injured other dogs but did not kill them in reported cases, 83% were pit bulls. Now, we're talking about a dog that's roughly 6% of the dog population. Of dogs who killed cats, 86% were pit bulls. Of dogs who killed pets and or livestock, who killed other pets and or livestock animals, 77% were pit bulls. So in general, 81% is the average over a 10-year period, and they've grown in popularity. So towards the later part of that 10-year period, they'll probably represent a higher percentage. Those numbers are huge, even if there's some room for error in that data. Like, they're colossally overrepresented, like more than 10 times, quite a lot more than 10 times overrepresented. I think that's like a 9 times overrepresentation. Let's do some more. Let's use the Google calculator again. 81 divided by 6. 13 times overrepresented, apparently. I might be completely wrong about that. So, but of course, that's not fair, right? You can't compare them to all dogs when you say they're 6% of all dogs. Most dogs are incapable of, when it comes to killing humans anyway, most dogs are incapable of killing a human, so it's pointless to even compare them. You have to compare them to dogs that have a realistic possibility of doing so, like Labradors and stuff. But this is referring to pets as well, so, and that's what probably skews these numbers a bit. When you look at the last figure, killing other pets and or livestock animals, I would imagine some of that is including small animals around the house and stuff like that. So there you might get a bit more of that data, including little dogs that can realistically kill like smaller animals but not humans. Another thing I've noticed when I walk around with Luna, my dog, I've noticed that owners of smaller dogs are often afraid, and that's because if she wanted to, if she snapped, she could kill a small dog very easily. She's a big dog. And I like to think she can handle herself in a fight, because she's my dog. I like to think she could handle herself against like a chihuahua at least, I don't really fancy her against a pit bull, nor would I like that to happen. But yeah, I realised it the other day, because I was thinking, man, it's so unfair that I have to be afraid of these dogs. I have to be afraid for her safety. It's why I started thinking about getting a Rottweiler, to be honest, because I've just felt so insecure about her. Like, and there's so many places we don't go anymore because there's like unmuzzled, unleashed like pit bulls and stuff there, and just like nasty owners who don't care. There's crap everywhere. I'm going to put a video here, if I remember actually, that I took the other day of all the crap on the path in my walk. It'll give you an idea of what people are like with their dogs around here. It'll be on the screen now if I've remembered. Terrible, just terrible. The amount of crap they left on this path, and it's normal, you know. And I thought it's so unfair, you know. But then I thought, well, people who own cats probably feel that way about her. They think, why can't you just have a cat, you know? Why do you have to have a dog that can kill my pet? Or why can't you have a small dog? People who have small dogs probably think, why can't we all just have like Dachshunds and stuff? Dachshunds are quite aggressive as well, actually. They think, why can't we just all have Dachshunds? Why can't we all just have little dogs that can't really do much damage to anybody? And that's what I mean, you know. Perhaps they have a point, you know, like she's scary to other people, and she makes them feel afraid for their pets' safety. I see people clam up around her when they've got a little dog. They clam up around her in the way that I do around bigger dogs. So it's not simple, it's not straightforward, but I think certainly people need to stop posting videos of their pit bull in pajamas next to a baby and saying, look, it's, you know, he's nice or whatever. It's incredibly dumb, obviously. Goes without saying. What else did I want to say? Yeah. So here, for example, in Spain, you can have any dog that you want, but you're not allowed to have a weapon. So you can't defend yourself. So people can have these dogs that can kill a grown man. You're not allowed to defend yourself. I think that's quite insane, to be honest. I think it's pretty insane that like people aren't allowed to have weapons. You know, we've sort of handed everything over to the state, and frequently they don't protect us anyway, and we're put in this bizarre position, you know, where it's like, yeah, if one of these pit bulls tries to kill your dog, you can just like grab it with your bare hands. And people act like it's easy. I've had people say to me like, yeah, you just choke them. It's like, yeah, if you have a rope, if you've got your arms, imagine imagine this scenario, right? You're trying to choke a pit bull. So you've got it here in your arm, because you're not choking it with your hands. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You're not choking a dog like that with your hands. So you're choking it with your arm, right? So your arm is here. So the dog's neck is here. So where's the dog's face? Where's its mouth? It's here, right? So yeah, just get the pit bull in a headlock and choke it like that. That's brilliant, isn't it? So you need something, you know. This is why I've learned recently these dogs, it's recommended to always have them in collars, because you can choke them and make them pass out, and they will stop biting whatever it is that they're biting in order to let go and to breathe most of the time. Yeah, so it's a difficult thing, man. They are I don't know. They're dogs, you know, and they're all dogs, and the fear of them can make you hate them. And I've seen videos of them like on like the Dodo and stuff, and you know, that YouTube channel, the Dodo, it's good. I've seen videos of ones who've been abused and traumatized, and they get rehomed, and so it makes you cry, man. It's like, they are dogs, you know. They're all capable of being pretty stupid. They're all capable of doing quite bad things. These just happen to be worse, but they still have so much that fundamental dog nature, and so many of them live their entire lives not hurting a fly. So it's a very difficult topic. I understand why people are defensive, you know. In a different timeline, I could have had a dog like this, and I'd be thinking, I would understand. I would be seeing these stories and thinking, I get it, and I'd probably be starting to become a bit afraid of my own dog, to be honest. But I would also love it so much, and it would be hard to hear people saying that. But I think the appropriate response to that is to try and empathise with the people who are saying it, and not say stupid things like, my dog's never hurt anyone, because it's just not. That's not the point. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it for now. I think there's something to be said for strong, extremely well-trained dogs that are regulated. To me, I know that if I had a Rottweiler or something like this, because we discussed it a bit, and we thought, well, if we did get one, we'd get it from a very, very reputable bloodline where there'd been no issues with violence, which makes it significantly safer than the average one, and it would be unbelievably well-trained, and I would be understanding of the fact that people sometimes wouldn't like to be around it, and we plan to live somewhere very rural anyway in the near future, so it's not going to be like an urban dog, and going around. It's going to be a dog that has quite a lot of its own space if we do have one, and it would be, I say it and it does it. Like, it's not, you can't have an animal. It's like guns, right? Like, I think people should have guns. I don't think people should just have them and just fucking, do whatever with them. Like, it's a serious thing. It's, power and responsibility. It's not just power. And that's like the difference between some guy who's got an unlicensed gun who's just like fucking firing out of a car window and killing babies in the crossfire, or someone who has a gun and they take it very seriously, and they know that it is capable of killing someone and that you have to take that seriously. And so I sometimes think the solution to sort of chaotic power and strength, and this, it is like the opposite side of that. It's kind of like orderly, controlled strength and power, controlled kind of aggression, or controlled force, or whatever. You can't necessarily always fight it with cowardice or fear, or So that's where we're at with it now. But it's something I'm constantly thinking about because it's important. They're such a big part of our lives, dogs in general, as humans. And I think we have to be careful before we too quickly start sort of doing, kind of eugenics on them, because it might be your dog next in the pipeline, and I don't know. So it's upsetting. It's unfortunate that we've gotten to this point, and well, that was one thing actually I wanted to touch on. Yeah, one other part I didn't mention, because generally people who own things like German Shepherds and Rottweilers, there's a more serious culture around them. There's not this sort of weird like pit mommy thing and just like bums having them and stuff. They're quite expensive. They're quite difficult to obtain, and they're dogs that are treated with, most of the time, quite a lot of seriousness. That's not always the case with pit bulls, and the problem is that pit bulls are inherently unpredictable, and it's much harder to follow bloodlines and see which ones are going to do this and which ones are going to do that. They are just much more unpredictable as dogs. So the sort of controlled aggression, controlled force thing is much harder. It's much harder to actually train one to be a predictable guard dog, for example. So most of the time when Rottweilers do things, they're ones that have come from a shelter, they've been abused, or they're ones that have shown a history of aggression, or they've had bad owners, to be honest. But that's now. So let's say pit bulls are banned in America. huge demand still for dogs like this. Will German Shepherds, will Rottweilers, will Akitas become the next one? The next dog that gets... Because this Bully XL breed, it's a fairly recent... They've emerged fairly recently. The breeding, the changes brought about by breeding practices can happen very quickly. It doesn't take a long time to do this. So people would quite possibly start just breeding these other types of dogs and breeding the most aggressive ones and breeding them for fighting and breeding them for, for like drug dealers to use for protection and stuff. And the ownership cultures around these dogs would change and the backyard breeding would increase massively and everything else. So maybe these other dogs that used to be perceived as the more dangerous, scary dogs, they will become what pit bull, to some degree, what pit bulls are. I don't think they can ever become that because these dogs, to be fair, prior to the widespread emergence of pit bulls, they did kind of have their heyday. There was a time when Rottweilers were the dogs that killed the most people, and it was nowhere near as bad as this. And they were nowhere near as unpredictable. And I remember being a kid and German Shepherds were like seen as the scariest dogs. And you knew that they were scary, but you always just felt you just wouldn't fuck with them. You didn't feel they were just going to kill you. There wasn't this fear around them. Like you were like, oh, I'll just leave him be. I'm not going to climb over that fence. There's a German Shepherd there. He'll like bite my ass. It wasn't like, God, if he gets out, he'd just fucking kill me for no reason. So, yeah, don't know. Yeah, would love to know you guys' thoughts on this, because it's a confusing and very sad topic, in my opinion. It's sad for all these dogs that get dumped. It's sad for these people that have lovely relationships with their dogs that are now having to analyse that more. And it's sad that some people are not analysing that more and are saying, no, fuck you, I love my dog, I don't care what happens to anybody else. It's sad all round, really. It's sad how many dogs there are. Sad how many dogs there are without homes. And here I am talking about getting one from a breeder, which I've never wanted to do. I've never considered, really. And that is another thing that makes me think twice about it. I don't know. It's something we've just started thinking about very recently because our dog has this weird... we think she had puppies taken away, and we sort of think it would be good for her to have another dog around, and it would be cool if we got one from a puppy, etc., etc. But we're fed up of being afraid for her safety, And we thought it would be a dog that could protect our unit, when I'm not around, if we have kids or whatever. But that's not straightforward either, because they don't necessarily make you safer. Having a dog like that in the house with your baby, it doesn't necessarily make your baby safer at all. And I'm averse to getting one from a breeder, really, because I've always thought any other dog we get after this, 100% from a shelter. There's so many dogs in shelters that need homes. It's just we kind of let them down, I think, like as a species. They're just so good to us. They've always been so good to us. And they're one of the best things about life. They make life worth living, I think. And we don't treat them well enough as a society. And I don't know. I don't know it's right to buy them from breeders, to be honest. When I think about the number of them that need homes, you see these dogs, man. You see these dogs in shelters. They're so lonely. And it's so easy to take care of them. It's so easy to give them what they need. They just want to play. They just want to have food. They want to run around. They want to feel safe. You just put them in a garden or in a park and they're happy. They're just happy. Like, they really don't need human beings are complicated and it's very hard for us to be happy. It's so easy for a dog to be happy. There's no reason they can't be treated well. There's no reason to have all these dogs piling up in shelters. So, I don't know. Something we've got to think about, really. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thanks for watching, guys.